1925. Blimey, that was a long time ago. Mental how much has happened since then. A whole nother world war. The end of the Big Four. All us blighty locomotives getting merged into one company. I can't even fathom what might come next. The railways could be overtaken by some new form of traction for all I know. Still, no matter how much things change, I doubt I'll ever forget what happened that night, 34 years ago. I'd just been transferred to my current home of Ashton Station from the old charity colliery, which had closed the year before. I was sorry to bid farewell to Stanley Brothers Limited, yet I was excited at the same time. It was a whole new fresh start, a new lease of life. Granted, shutting a massive station terminus like this is very different from that of a coaling plant, so adjusting it naturally takes some time. The managers understood this there, and eased me in with some lighter work, moving empty stock in and out of the sidings for the other shunters to take about the premises. It was simple work, but I didn't really mind. It was all new surroundings for me. One thing that did get repetitive there was the affectionate term industrial being labelled me constantly. But apart from this, everything went all hunky-dory like. Well, that was until something strange began to happen. Each evening, there started to appear an extra sheet added to my list of shunting orders. These were odd, to say the least. Unlike the rest, these were old and tattered, and didn't look like they came from the same place at all. Odder still was the actual order itself. It was the same one every time, inscribed in barely legible handwriting. Shunt 2 vans to the West End. The West End is the most remote and disused part of the whole facility. Its sidings are mostly used as out-of-use lines, and even then, that is a rare occasion. All engines hate going there, myself included. It's right unsettling after all. But an order is an order, so I obliged. Every evening, I take 2 vans to the West End and leave them there overnight. Each following evening, I'd find that the vans I'd shunted there previously were gone. Probably collected on some pickup goods now, I thought to myself. I repeated this pattern for 6 days, and thought nothing more of it. But that soon changed when the yardmaster came to see me about it. "Number 1, he greeted me one morning. "Explain yourself." "What's the matter, sir?" I asked him, for he sounded righteously cross. "Did I do something wrong? Vans have been disappearing every night for the past week, and I've been told that you have been moving them. What is the meaning of this?" "I'm sorry, sir," I said, perplexed. "I moved him to the West End as per your orders, sir." "What codswallop is this?" he rapped. "I never ordered anything of the sort." Now I was thoroughly confused. No shunting order was posted without the yardmaster's approval. "But, sir, didn't you have those extra sheets added to me list every evening?" "What are you talking about?" So I explained about the mysterious orders. When I was done, the manager's brow was very furrowed indeed. "Show me these rosters," he told me. "I would very much like to see 'em." So, that evening, I picked him up from his office and made me way back to the lists. Sure enough, when we got there was a new order posted on it that read, "Shunt 2 vans to the West End." "There, sir," I exclaimed. "This is what I was talking about." The yardmaster swiftly alighted from his cab and made his way to where it was. All the while, I was watching him as he did. His response, however, surprised me. "I don't see the supposed thing." "But, sir, it's right." I trailed off when I looked back to the wall. The bleeding thing had vanished. "What? How? Where's it gone? It was just there a second ago." Number one, is this your idea of a practical joke? Because if it is, I'm not amused. Sir, it was just there. I swear it. Oh, enough! He exclaimed. I will deal with you later. For now, he continued, you will refrain from moving any more rolling stock near the West End. If this isn't maintained, I promise you, there will be consequences. Is that understood? Yes, sir. I should hope so. And with that, he fumed away. Just then, a J-15 passed through the yard. He couldn't help but laugh at my misfortune. Oh no, the industrial hallucinating no. Very quaint. At this, my initial shock gave way to indignation. I definitely hadn't hallucinated those sheets. I knew that for a fact. I'd seen them 7 times now without fail, as real as the rails I run on. Someone's had me. That's what's happened, I thought to myself. Those vans couldn't have disappeared on their own. I then moved off to finish the rest of me work, firmly resolved to get me own back. I'd not be shafted for someone else's stupid idea of a joke. That night, after hours, I made me way to the West End light engine, determined to catch this cad red-handed. I couldn't ask the other engines for help. I know that think me mental if I did. Besides, why would I help anyway? I'm an industrial after all, a scum of the railways in their eyes. It didn't take long to reach my destination. Now, the West End was creepy enough during the day, but at night, I tell you, that was something else. The sorry state of the forlorn sidings perfectly mirrored those of the abandoned buildings which surrounded them on all sides. I shivered uncomfortably as the rust-ridden rails creaked beneath me weight, and the evil weeds growing amongst them brushed against me wheels. It was as if they were longing to ensnare me in their grasps, keeping me trapped there forever. Thus commenced my vigil, keeping watchful eye out for any man or machine approaching, all the while trying to block out the eerie shadows and sounds of the West End, which was starting to plague on me mind. But alas, no one came. Many an hour later, the town clock was heard to strike midnight, as if to mock those poor souls devoted to a late night, ill-fated endeavour. I was just beginning to drift off, when... Cold much? I snapped out at me drowsiness. Now wide awake, I looked to me left. There, standing on the adjacent track, was a queer-looking engine. That's odd, I thought to myself. He wasn't there before. Now, when I say queer, I really do mean it. For this engine had an open cab, an abnormally tall chimney, and an odd box-shaped boiler. If these weren't bizarre enough, then its condition made it worse. This engine was absolutely filthy, with patches of rust, and what was either intense grime, or possibly even burn marks, festooning its entire bodywork. It was painfully obvious that whomever was tasked with maintaining him did so to an abysmally poor degree, if at all. If there was ever an appropriate time to describe someone as going through hell and back, this was certainly it. But the real strange thing was that I neither saw nor heard him pull up next to me. As I stated earlier, he wasn't there before. Regardless, I spoke up. Aye, I said, in answer to his query, before following it up with me own. I don't suppose you've been taking vans from this place, have you? Why should I take rolling stock from this place? I've no need for such pleasantries, came the response. Oh, come off it, mate, I said, angrily. Let's not pretend ourselves, eh? Someone's been duping me into shutting 2 vans per night here and making off with them without a trace. I don't know why, but I intend to find out. And I have a bloody good hunch that the culprit might be you, my man. Do the people here treat you well? This lightest question caught me off guard. What? I asked. Do the people of this station and yard treat you well? Asked the stranger a second time. I didn't know how to respond at first. This was a rather strange and forward inquiry, and one I hadn't seen coming. Eventually, I responded in kind. Well, not exactly, I suppose. I've yet to be accepted as a real asset to the station. But of course, said the engine smarmily. Why would they treat you as an equal? You are an industrial after all. The lowest of the low, the rank below the Commonwealth, the Rithrath of the railways. That is how they regard a colliery engine such as yourself. Now you listen here, matey, I growled, annoyed at being reminded of me rank in the locomotive hierarchy. I may be an industrial, but I've got more worth to me than an ancient ruin like you. Hell, I'll prove to all these tossers here that I'm 10 times more useful than even them Silver Spoon Express engines. Kuh, those buggers don't do nothing but talk smack all day and get manicures from the fitters and cleaners for crying out loud. To my surprise, the dilapidated engine began laughing at this. You have heart, a fiery passion undeterred by limitation is what you possess. An admirable trait indeed. Such a pity that it will one day be snuffed out. Eh? I queried. What are you talking about? I've seen your future. You will stand on the siding again, rusted beyond repair, spirit broken, discarded by man, left to die. What? Time will be your only companion. It will engulf you. It will rot you. It will kill you. Percival, that is your name. Do you know mine? No. Time.